Welcome. This is my top 50 board games of all time. I'm Mark Maya. Welcome to Board Game Coffee. Alright, so we're going to make this into a 5-part series, each part covering 10 of our top 50 games of all time. Now, take that with a little grain of salt. There's so many awesome games, and it was hard to choose which made it to the top 50. So later down the road, we're probably going to make another top 50. But you know what? These are the ones that made it, and I'm not taking it back. I love these games. Let's check them out. So, first game on the list is our number 50, King of New York. Now, I know a lot of you, there's a lot of King of Tokyo fans, but I much prefer King of New York. Now, the reason this guy made it on the list is because, first of all, it's easy to learn, it's fun to play, and it's easy to teach. I like it better than King of New York, better than King of Tokyo, because it offers more strategy, where King of Tokyo is very much just monsters. You're in the city, you're out of the city, you're rolling dice, you're doing damage. Where King of New York introduces like a military element, these tiles you flip over, and then there's bonuses and extra damage you can do. And actually, I don't remember everything you could do. It's been a while, but what I know is if I want to play this game tonight, I can just flip up that rule book, and in 5 minutes I'll be caught up like that, and we'll be having a good time. Number 49 is the Dice Master series. Now, I have both Marvel Dice Masters and DC Dice Masters. Now there's a whole bunch of them. There's like X-Men, there's Avengers vs. X-Men, there's Justice League Dice Masters. But what's great about these games is you can mix and match them. You can have Superman versus Spider-Man, or whoever, the Justice League versus the Avengers, and it's awesome. A lot of people have told me this is like Quarriors, and it's based on Quarriors. Now, I've never played Quarriors myself, but I'm a big fan of this series. So how it works is basically you buy these little packs of cards. Well, these are your starter decks, but you buy these little packs of cards, and then this is a Justice League pack. I still have a few of these around. Open them up, and inside you're gonna get some dice, and you're gonna get cards for new characters. Where here I unlocked Green Arrow and Brainiac. I'm trying to remember this correctly. It's been a while. You have actions where you actually buy dice off the heroes that you want, and what their dice do is indicated on their card. So, and that's it. So you're basically buying dice and using those dice to battle your opponent across the table from you. It's a really fun game, very versatile, so many characters to play with. I have so many dice for this game, and I just love it. My pick for 48 is Descent: Journey in the Dark, 2nd edition. Now, what's great about this, what's really cool, is that one player controls all the villains, the monsters, the dragons, and you're trying to stop the heroes who are controlled by the other players, and they're trying to crawl through the dungeon, not literally crawl, but they're trying to get through the dungeon, find treasure, fight off your monsters, complete their mission, and you or me, whoever's playing the bad guys, their job's to stop the heroes. So you have a bunch of powers available to you as the uber wizard who's trying to stop the heroes, and the heroes have all these weapons that they can gather. And if, depending on who wins a scenario, because you can run this as a campaign, and that's how I like to play it, is as a campaign. Played this before with 5 players, where I played the wizard, and then I had 4 guys at the table playing the heroes. Now, if I had one little gripe, is this game does have a bit of a steamroller problem, where if one side, especially the heroes, if they continue to win, then it's a steamroller, where the more they win, the more powerful they get, which makes it easier to win, and what makes them more powerful, it makes it hard for the wizard to catch up. And not to mention that the heroes, when they get their powers, their swords are always there. Like the fighter, or whoever, the warrior, if he gets an awesome sword that just does sweet damage, who knows, maybe it's on fire, I don't remember everything that's in this game, but he'll always have that. The wizard, me as the evil wizard, they'll get a spell which goes in their deck, and if they happen to pull it and use it, they have to wait till it cycles through their deck again. So it's not as easy for the wizard, although they do have a bunch of monsters. Now, in defense of this game, is I was playing with a group of hardcore gamers who did really well as the heroes, getting around all my monsters. So maybe I just need to play with people that aren't such good heroes. For 47, it's Star Realms Frontiers, a great little two-player deck-building combat game where you and your opponent sit across the table from each other, building decks, laying down bases, and throwing down ships to deal damage to each other. And it's really easy to pick up and really fun to play. Now, this game's been around for a while, and it's from White Wizard Games. But I've only discovered this game. It was introduced to me at the end of last year in 2019 at Essen. I brought this home, and I taught it to Brittany. We actually did a live playthrough. But she loved it, and I loved it. It's a great couples game, especially if you're in a relationship like we are, where we enjoy competitive gaming. And the best part about it is I won, and that makes everything better. I'm sure Brittany would agree. It's a good time. It's easy to learn. If you like deck builders, try Star Realms Frontiers. Everything you need is in the box. There are more expansions to allow you to do more things. And actually, I believe you can play more than 2 players. It's just, I've only played 2 players. Let me check. What does the box say? The box tells me that this is a 1 to 4 player game. I've never played it solo player, but it's 1 to 4 players from White Wizard Games. Star Realms Frontiers. Great game. Check it out. If you like deck builders, you need to play this. Fleet the Dice game falls in at 46. This is by far my all-time favorite roll and write. Now, you might be looking at this and being like, wow, that looks like a really pretty box art about intense fishing. Now, fishing is not a theme that appeals to me. I know, being Portuguese, you'd think it would, right? But it doesn't. But this, theme or not, the gameplay is on point. So basically, the premise of Fleet, the dice game, is you are putting together a fleet of fishing vessels. The dice have all these cool little fish and critters on it, and then you roll dice, and it's got a dice drafting system. So you roll the dice, you pick what you want to score on your sheet, and it goes around the table. It's those rules are pretty typical, but how you improve your fleet gives you bonuses, which is not typical and is super awesome. And also, it's not all about fishing. It's also got a town element where you go into town and you invest in the local businesses, and those businesses also give you bonuses. And currency's dealt with in a cool way where you mark it on your sheet, but every 5 to 10 currencies, I can't remember the numbers exactly, you get a star, and every time you hit one of those stars, it gives you a free action. So it's really neat. And you're not fishing all the time. There are certain times in the game where a fishing event is triggered. So what you're doing is prepping your ships. And each boat you get has licenses. Like each fleet has a different license. And the more you advance the license, the more benefits you get. There's so many bonuses and benefits and different ways to play this game. Every time I've played this, I've tried a new strategy and I've loved it every time. Brittany is also a huge fan. Everybody we've played this with loves it. So if you're looking for a roll and write, you gotta try Fleet the Dice game. At 45, we have Ghost from Yellow, also a winner of a Mensa Select Award. So you know that they won a Mensa Select Award. But anyways, this anybody can play. It's a great family-friendly game designed by none other than Richard Garfield, the man who brought us Magic the Gathering. Not nearly as complex as Magic. Not the kind of game you'd think would come from the designer of Magic the Gathering, but it's super fun. And it's a great game to introduce your family to. We play this a lot with Brittany's family. They're her parents and her grandmother, and they're not into board games necessarily, but they like card games. And this kind of plays like a Crazy Eights type of deal where all your cards have these ghosts on them, and all the ghosts have different powers, and as you play them, they have different effects. Like they can make the gameplay go counterclockwise instead of clockwise, or make somebody skip a turn. A bunch of variety of abilities. And the premise is everybody has a mansion, and each card is a ghost. So what you need to do is get rid of all the ghosts in your mansion, which is basically getting rid of all the cards that you have. And to do that, you need to scare off your ghosts. And to scare your ghosts, you need to use scarier ghosts. Now, my favorite part about this, other than it's a lot of fun, easy to learn, is how, and I don't mean this as a negative at all, this is one of my favorite parts, makes it really feel engaging, is when one player seems like they're close to emptying their mansion. That's when everybody, like sharks, with blood in the water, we all just attack that one player who's close to winning, because if they win, we all lose. But actually, that's not how it works. That's how we play. We play just so we can get more games in, is when one person empties their mansion, they're the big winner, and we're all losers. But if you actually read the rules, what the rules say is it's the last person to empty their mansion is the single loser, and everybody else is a better person. And it doesn't change the game rules, it just makes the games go by faster, and then we can just play more often. But it's fun to be like, stop her, she's almost got her mansion emptied, and then we all just kind of jump on and make that person skip their turn, force them to draw cards. It's great. It's good to have it around the table. We start a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of interaction with the family, and it's a lot of fun. So I don't think this game gets the credit it deserves. If you see Ghost out at your local store, pick it up. It's a good time. If you have family that isn't really into board games but they like card games, check out Ghost. My 44 is Call to Adventure. This is a great hero story building card game where you get to roll these cool little, it's almost like, they're not dice, they're more like voodoo bones, like something you would roll and there's little symbols on it. It feels really cool to just hold them in your hand, actually. Now, this game is 1 to 4 players, and each player is trying to basically write and tell the story of their hero as they go on adventures. So cards will have these symbols on it and requirements that you have to meet before you can either play them or take them. It's been a little while since I played this, but when I did have it, I did play it a bit, because the part I remember the most is the storytelling. Now, the rules say that once your hero takes their path and reaches the end of their adventure, that you're supposed to tell the story of their adventure by just reading your cards. And you can get some really cool adventures or stories out of this. But what I prefer, which I feel kind of keeps everybody talking more through the whole thing, keeps players engaged with what your hero is doing, actually helps you keep engaged with how your hero's growing, is tell the story as it happens instead of recapping it later. So that's what we prefer to do. It's everybody I've played with prefers to do it that way. So tell your story as you're doing it. So you have your hero cards, and your hero might be like, their origins, maybe there's a poor beggar that started on the street, and then one day they found a magic sword, and then they slayed a dragon, they saved a princess, and then you're telling the story as you're going on, and then as you're doing it and you're playing these cards, your cards tell your story, but they also have these little symbols on it that kind of earn you points, because at the end of the game you tally up points. So as good as you want a good story, but you also want points. Now, you could play this game, in all honesty, you could play this just going for the points and kind of just make up some lame story as you go, but that's kind of goes against what the game is trying to do. You might win like that. Actually, to tell you the truth, you probably have a better chance of winning like that, but it goes against what, like how I said, what the game is trying to do. What you want to do is kind of like go into the story, and if you win, that's great. For me, it's more important to make a really fun story, and I try to win. I do try to win, but I'll never sacrifice my hero's story for more victory points. There's also an expansion for this game that's based on the book series Name of the Wind. I haven't played that yet, but I'm looking forward to it. So check out Call to Adventure. It's a good time. My 43 is Gizmos, another Mensa Select winner. And this one comes from Come On Games. And thing is, it's not full of minis. Come On's more than just minis. And Gizmos is a perfect example of that. This is the second edition. Now, from what I understand, I've never played the first edition. The only difference is there's a plastic dispenser in the second edition. There might be more things, but I don't know. I've never played the first edition. Now, Gizmos is an engine building game. There's all these weird things, almost like cartoon experiments that some mad scientist built in his garage, and the art is really cute and fun. The marbles, they're cool. They come in this cool little dispenser, and they're all color-coded, and they all represent different types of energy. And the cards require this energy to be spent to take them or to build them. And when you build them, they'll offer special abilities, either bonuses when you buy cards, you might earn you other cards or might earn you more energy, or there's other cards that make other cards cheaper, makes your energy worth more. There's all kinds of different abilities and mechanics in each of these cards, and there's so many cards. And when you build your engine and you really get it going, and then one card triggers another card, oh, that feels so good. Now, this one is, again, family friendly. It's a lot of fun. Once you get accustomed to the iconography, which is, it's not really that difficult. You'll go through like 2 rounds and you'll figure it out like that. And if not, there's always a handy little reference guide. So Gizmos is a great engine building game. It plays 2 to 4 players, and it's just fun. If you're looking for something to play with the family, give this a go. I do prefer playing this. I have played this with 2 players. 2 players, it's great. I do prefer it with more, just to see what other people do. So 4 players is better, but 2 players is still awesome. Betrayal at House on the Hill from Wizards of the Coast comes in at 42. Now this is the second edition. Once again, I've never played the first edition, so I don't know what the difference is. But what I do know is this game's a good time. Now, what is Betrayal at House on the Hill? It's 3 to 6 players, and what you do is, this is a game that starts off as a co-op, and everybody in the game pretty much thinks they're in a co-op game, and they are, until they're not. You see, you explore this mansion, and the mansion is kooky, man. There's some crazy rooms and some magic elevators and a basement that if you fall in, you might spend the rest of your life in there, literally. So, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of exploration. You explore this mansion, and it's made up of these tiles that you lay down and you flip over depending on what floor you're on, and you explore these rooms looking for whatever, and you're triggering these events. You encounter ghosts, you find magic relics. It's so cool. And what eventually happens is you trigger the haunting, and that's when everything goes bad. So at one point in the game, you're gonna get a player, or an event's gonna happen, and then one of the players is gonna turn out to be the betrayer. But thing is, until that moment, you could be the betrayer, I could be the betrayer. You don't know. It's not like one of those. It's not like Dead of Winter or one of those hidden betrayer games, because you never know until you know, and then everybody knows at once that you're the betrayer. But not everybody knows exactly what you're up to. When you're outed as the betrayer, you take this book. I forgot what it's called, but you take the book and you take it away by yourself, and you go read what your goal is. Maybe you're a cannibal, maybe you're an alien, who knows? But you're up to no good. And that book, there'll be a section in the rules that'll tell you what no good you're supposed to be doing or up to. While the regular players, the good guys who are trying to either get out alive or stop you, they have their own set of information that they know. So they know a little bit about what you're up to, but you have more info. So they don't know everything, and they'll discover it as they play. So now it turns into a game of one versus many, which is a lot of fun. Now, the thing is, in my experience, and this happens all the time, and I think I'll start house ruling this out, is the newest player, you could have a game of 6 people. 5 people have played this to death, and they love it, and they keep coming back for more. So, but when the point comes where a betrayer is randomly chosen, it's always going to be that 6th player, the new player, the player who knows the least about the game. Somehow, at least in my experience, has always been the one that ends up being the betrayer. So they always have to go out on their own and learn the rules on their own. You can't help them because then you get information you're not supposed to have. So, but we try our best. And you know what? Every time we've had the experience, the player's always done fairly well. They've always figured it out. and it's a lot of fun. It's got this cool eerie thing. It's one of those games you want to save for like Halloween or like a late night. It's good. Get some drinks, get around the table, light some candles, and get spooky with it. So, Betrayal at House on the Hill. Check it out. At 41, we have Tiny Epic Mechs from Gamelin Games. Now, this isn't going to be the last Gamelin game on our list. They make a lot of good stuff. You'll see. Now, Tiny Epic Mechs is my first experience with programmable movement. Now, the way programmable movement works is all the players around the table have these cards, and they have actions like arrows, which you lay down in a direction or based on orientation of where you're facing. And if you reveal that arrow, your character moves in that direction. Now, you program a series of movements. You do that in secret. And then going around the table, players reveal what their programmed movements are. Now, everybody programs their movement for the entire turn before they know what anybody else is doing. So you can have a guess. Oh, I think Brittany's headed for the mech, so I'm going to try to cut her off. And something like that. But you might be completely off. And because she thinks, oh, Mark is going to do this, so she's going to go there. And you get into a lot of really fun scenarios. Now, the story behind Tiny Epic Mechs, it's like it's not like a war-torn society where everybody's just fighting for survival. It's like an arena event. So now everybody gets the best part about this is everybody gets their own little mechs, and these mechs are the item meeples. So they're basically little plastic meeples that fit in these mechs, and you can basically just strap those mechs on with weapons, and they look awesome. And if that's not enough, everybody gets their own personal mech. But in the middle, there's this big mech, and he looks really awesome. And this awesome looking mech is, if you can get there, if you meet the criteria and you can get to that mech, then you can hop in it. And then when you do, you can kick some serious ass. And here's the thing. As you're going through this game, this arena combat, you're also customizing your character with specific weapons, either defensive or offensive weapons that you want to use on other people. And it's got like this kind of rock, paper, scissors balancing mechanic going there. So it's a lot of fun. The programmable movement is great. You get into so many fun scenarios, and the combat is fun. It's another great game from Gamelin Games, and I recommend it. If you haven't tried a programmable movement game, or you have and you like them, either way, try Tiny Epic Mechs. It's a great introduction to that type of game, and it's a lot of fun. You won't regret it. So that was our first 10 of our top 50 board games of all time. Now, keep in mind, some of you might be looking and be like, I can't believe they said 46 was better than 45. 45 is clearly better than 42 and 43 or whatever. I don't know what games those were. But what I'm trying to say is that the number isn't as important as the fact that they're on the list at all. Because when you're in this higher echelon of numbers, it's all kind of loosey-goosey. I kind of like all those games equally, but I have to put them in some sort of order, so that's the order I chose. I tried my best, but the order of things changes based on how I feel that day. Sometimes, your number 40 is exactly where it needs to be. But, sometimes maybe I like 45 better than 40. That pushes 40 up a bit. But that's why I say it doesn't matter. These are all just great games. And if you're looking for ideas for great games, check out the rest of this list, because that rest of the list is coming. So look for our part 2 of our top 50 board games of all time coming tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. If you like this video and you want to see more, subscribe to our channel. It's the best way to keep up to date with everything we do here at Board Game Coffee. But if you want to see more right now, we got plenty of videos to choose from. And if that's not enough, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Mark Maya, and this is Board Game Coffee. And remember, have fun, keep gaming, be social. See you next week.